today I'm here to do my July and Booktubeathon wrap-up and my August TBR. I only read 3 books at the beginning of July before the Booktubeathon, but I did end up reading all 7 books for the Booktubeathon. So here are the books that I read. The first book I read was And Every Morning the Way Home Gets Longer and Longer by Fredrik Backman. This is just a little short novella, and I listened to it while I was getting ready one morning for church. I think this is the first Fredrik Backman that I gave 5 stars to. It was absolutely fantastic. I think if you're thinking about getting into Fredrik Backman, you should definitely try this book because it is really short, but it was a really sweet and touching story, and I absolutely loved it. Then I read The Dogstars by Peter Heller. This author lives in Colorado, so I've started picking up his books more. This is his most popular book, but it's the second book that I've read of his. I read The Painter last month, and I really loved that book. This is kind of a dystopian world, and it's about this man and his dog trying to survive. I don't really go for these kind of books, but I really liked this one, and I really love Peter Heller's writing, but I gave this one 3 stars. Then last month's TBR jar pick was The Catcher in the Rye by J.D. Salinger. I know this is a classic, and a lot of people have already read it, probably for school, but I decided to pick it up, and I found it on audio on YouTube. I liked hearing it read by a teenager, because I just don't think I would have gotten the same thing out of it if I had read it. But I really didn't end up liking this book. I really didn't like the main character. He seemed to complain about every situation, and he hated everyone. I'm sure this is really accurate to what a young guy thinks about, but I just really couldn't get into it, and I ended up giving this 2 stars. Okay, so now on to the Booktubeathon books. I ended up reading 1,648 pages. I read all 7 books and completed all 7 challenges, and this is the first Booktubeathon year doing this that I didn't read any graphic novels. A lot of them were full-length novels, and I was really happy that I got through all of these books. The first one that I picked up was The Princess Diaries by Carrie Fisher. I didn't really know anything outside of Princess Leia of Carrie Fisher, so it was really interesting to kind of get a glimpse into her life. I must have been living in a cave because I didn't know that Carrie Fisher and Harrison Ford were ever a thing, but a lot of this book is about their relationship together. I thought this book was really funny and really sad at times, but I really enjoyed it, and I'm going to pick up some more of her books, and I gave this one 4 stars. Then I picked up A Farewell to Arms by Ernest Hemingway. Just like most of Hemingway's works, this is about the war, which doesn't always interest me, but when Hemingway writes about it, it's really interesting. But this isn't really what I wanted it to be, and I really didn't end up liking it. It wasn't horrible, but I gave it 3 stars. Then I read The Girls by Emma Cline. It's kind of based off of the Charles Manson murders, which I am really interested in, but this book really let me down. It was really boring, and nothing really happened. I was expecting murders or something. I really don't recommend this book. If you're wanting something about Charles Manson, you should probably just pick up a biography. I gave this one 2 stars. Then I picked up Modern Romance by Aziz Ansari. I've always liked Aziz. I thought he was so funny on all of the shows he's been on. I listened to this on audiobook. It's not what I was expecting it to be. I thought it would be more of his own relationships, but it was more just statistics on relationships around the world and through different times. But I ended up really liking it, and it is read by him, which I definitely recommend listening to. And I gave this one 4 stars. Then I picked up A Grief Observed by C.S. Lewis. This was one of the challenges to read outside, and so I picked a short one because I knew I wouldn't have a lot of time to read outside. These are just kind of letters to himself about his wife dying. It was absolutely devastating to read. I actually had markers to put in this book because I knew I'd want to mark some things, but it turned out that I could have marked every single paragraph. But this was a really great read, and I definitely recommend checking it out, and I gave this one 5 stars. Then I picked up A Study in Scarlet. I listened to this on audio as well. This, again, is not what I thought it was going to be. I love the Sherlock show, so I was expecting a detective novel, and for some reason we went to America in Utah, and it just got really boring, and I kind of zoned out when I was listening to it, and I gave this one 2 stars. And the last book that I read was Waiting for the Barbarians by J.M. Coetzee. I picked this one up last month because I loved the cover of it. I really struggled through this one as well. I really didn't like the writing style. I thought it was kind of boring, and I feel like the main character was asleep through the entire book. I'm pretty sure every single page said that he had fallen asleep, and it just kind of got repetitive and boring, but it is such a pretty book, and I'm glad that I bought it. But I gave this one 2 stars. I'm going to quickly go through all the books that I'd like to read this month. Right now I'm in the middle of Celine by Peter Heller. I only have a couple more chapters left, so I'm sure I'll get this finished before I even get the video up. Then I'd like to pick up Maro Island. This is by the same author that wrote Glaciers, and I absolutely loved Glaciers. I've had this checked out for a couple months now, and I really need to get to it. Then I'd like to pick up For Whom the Bell Tolls by Ernest Hemingway. I like to read an Ernest Hemingway once a month, so I'm hoping I can get to this one this month. And I will draw from my TBR jar, which is my Modern Classics and Classics. Okay, so I got The Adventures of Tom Sawyer by Mark Twain. I feel like this is a must American read, so I'm excited to get to it now. I will be doing a separate TBR for the Stephen King read-along that will be at the end of the month, so look out for that. If you're interested in reading Stephen King, definitely check out this readathon. I will be linking it down in the description. Okay, so let me know if you've read any of these books and what you thought of them, and I will see you guys next time. Thanks for watching. Bye! I ended up reading 1,400, how many? 648. I ended up reading 1,648 books. No, I did not. I ended up reading 1,000, oh gosh.